Fear is not what happens to you. Fear is what you tell yourself about what might happen. That single distinction, understood deeply, changes everything. 2,000 years ago, a man who commanded the largest empire on earth still woke at night gripped by the same anxieties you face today. Marcus Aurelius feared loss, failure, judgment, and death, and yet he governed with absolute calm, not because he was fearless, because he understood something most people never will. In the next few minutes, you will discover the 3 Stoic secrets that transformed fear from a prison into a doorway. These are not motivational ideas. They are philosophical tools forged through centuries of practice. Carry them with you when you leave here. The Stoics built their entire philosophy on a single, ruthless distinction. Epictetus wrote it plainly in the very first line of the Enchiridion. Some things are in our control and others not. Things in our control are opinion, pursuit, desire, aversion. Things not in our control are body, property, reputation, command, and in one word, whatever are not our own actions. Read that slowly. Whatever is not your own action is outside your control. Fear almost always lives in that second category. We fear the judgment of others, not in our control. We fear failure at work, not in our control. We fear illness, loss, rejection, none of it in our control. We are pouring our anguish into a vessel we cannot hold. Here is the first Stoic secret: draw the line. When fear rises, ask with full honesty, does this belong in my circle of control or outside it? If outside, your fear is not wisdom. It is suffering you have voluntarily chosen. Fear cannot survive clarity. The moment you precisely identify that you are afraid of something outside your power, something shifts, not because the threat disappears, but because you have stopped fighting the wrong battle. The energy you were spending on dread can now be redirected toward the one thing that is always within your reach: how you respond. Marcus Aurelius practiced this every morning in his private journals. He did not write about threats he could not influence. He wrote about his own judgments, his own responses, his own character. He trained his attention inward where the work could actually be done. The rest he released. That release is not passivity, it is precision. Seneca faced what most people would call a legitimate reason for fear. Emperor Nero, erratic, violent, a man who had already ordered his own mother's death, held complete power over Seneca's life. One unfavorable rumor, one moment of imperial mood, and it was finished. And eventually the order came. Seneca died by Nero's command. Yet Seneca wrote this in Letter 13, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." He did not write this as comfort. He wrote it as diagnosis. Most fear is not a response to what is happening. It is a response to a story the mind is narrating about what could happen. And the mind tells that story badly, catastrophizing, amplifying, rehearsing the worst version on an endless loop. Seneca's answer was a practice called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. He would deliberately sit with his worst fears. He would think them through, clearly and completely, not to dwell in misery, but to strip them of their power over him. If you fear losing your livelihood, sit with it fully, trace it to its actual conclusion. You would adapt. You would find another path. You would survive and likely rebuild. What you discover when you look directly is that the outcome is survivable and that the fear was always larger than the reality it pointed to. Seneca wrote, "Nothing happens to the wise man contrary to his expectation." Not because the wise man predicts the future, but because he has already walked through the darkness in his mind and knows there is ground beneath his feet. This is the second Stoic secret. Do not avoid the fear. Enter it deliberately. Examine it. Name it precisely. Trace it to its end. Fear grows in the shadows. Bring it into the light of careful thought, and it begins to shrink to its actual size. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Book VIII of the Meditations, "Confine yourself to the present." 3 words. An entire philosophy. Nearly all fear is temporal displacement. We are not afraid of this moment. We are afraid of a moment that has not arrived. The confrontation next week. The diagnosis we haven't received. The failure we are certain is coming. The mind travels forward into an imagined future and returns trembling from a place it has never actually been. The Stoic remedy is not optimism. It is not the belief that things will work out. It is the disciplined return to the only moment that exists now. When fear rises in a modern context, before a difficult conversation, in the middle of financial uncertainty, in the silence of a relationship unraveling, the Stoic practice is to ask one question. What is actually being required of me in this moment? Not in 6 months, not tomorrow morning. Right now, what must be done? Marcus Aurelius also wrote, "Never let the future disturb you." You will meet it, if you have to, with the same weapons of reason which today arm you against the present. That is not a promise that everything will be fine. It is a reminder that you will not face tomorrow unarmed. The same clarity, the same capacity for reason, the same inner discipline you carry today, it will be there when the feared moment arrives. You will not meet it as you are in your worst imagining. You will meet it as someone who has been training. This is the third Stoic secret: return to the present repeatedly, not once. Every time fear pulls you into a future that does not yet exist, bring your attention back to what is required now. Act there, build there. The Stoics call the inner space where this practice lives the hegemonicon, the ruling faculty. Guard it, anchor it here. This is the complete Stoic architecture against fear. Identify what is and is not within your control. Premeditate the worst until it loses its teeth. Return to the present every time the mind wanders into darkness. Not 3 easy steps, 3 lifelong disciplines. The Stoics never promised an absence of fear. They promised that within the fear there is a door and philosophy is the key. If this wisdom reached you today, consider staying within this community. Each video here is one step deeper into a life examined, a mind trained, a character built with intention. Subscribe and continue the work that the Stoics began 2,000 years ago. Marcus Aurelius, writing to no one but himself in his private journals, closed the pages and rose each morning to govern an empire. He did not feel fearless. He felt prepared. That is the Stoic gift, not the removal of fear, but its transformation from paralysis into preparation, from noise into clarity. Today, when fear arrives, do not flee it. Meet it as a Stoic. Look at it directly. Ask what is in your hands. Trace it to its end. Return to this moment. The door has always been there. You now know where it opens. SEOTAGS. Stoicism, Stoic philosophy, Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, Seneca, Overcome Fear, Stoicism, Ancient Wisdom, Stoic Mindset, Stoic Secrets, Meditations, Marcus Aurelius, Stoic Life Lessons, Stoic Wisdom, Fear and Philosophy, Stoic Quotes, Stoic Exercises, Description. Fear is not what happens to you, it is what you tell yourself about what might happen. 2,000 years ago, the Stoic philosophers discovered 3 powerful secrets to break free from fear, and their wisdom is more relevant today than ever. In this video, we explore the dichotomy of control, Epictetus's radical distinction between what is and isn't in your power, premeditatio malorum, Seneca's practice of confronting your worst fears directly, the discipline of present moment anchoring from Marcus Aurelius's Meditations. These are not quick fixes. They are philosophical tools forged through centuries of lived practice by emperors, slaves, and exiles who faced real stakes. Drawing from Epictetus's Enchiridion, Seneca's Letters, and Marcus Aurelius's Meditations, this video brings ancient Stoic wisdom into the specific modern situations we all face: work anxiety, relationship fear, financial uncertainty, and the paralysis of imagined futures. Timestamps 000, Hook 0, 15 Introduction 100, Secret 1. The Dichotomy of Control, Epictetus, 330, Secret 2, Premeditation of Adversity, Seneca 600, Secret 3. Anchoring to the Present, Marcus Aurelius 900, Outro and Challenge Stoicism, Marcus Aurelius Ancient Wisdom.